Welcome! So far in this series, I have talked about Spanish, Portuguese, Dutch, and French colonial efforts, but I also uploaded an episode on the first English settlements. It's been quite some time, so here's another video, this time on the 13 colonies that eventually became our Lord and Master, Big Daddy United States. The English colonies in North America had humble beginnings. King James I granted charters to multiple companies in 1606, so after several failed attempts, the first permanent settlement was established the following year at Jamestown by the Virginia Company. In the north, the rival Popham colony soon failed due to famine and disease. Jamestown was also on the brink of collapse, but a new group of settlers arrived with more supplies, saving it. Two wars were fought against the Powhatan Confederacy, although the story of Pocahontas tells us that friendly relations existed as well. Tobacco became the first profitable export product, but it would take a full decade before another settlement was established at Plymouth by Puritans. By 1625, population reached 2,000, but more colonies followed before the end of the decade. The first patent to establish the province of Maine had been issued back in 1622. Then the Massachusetts Bay Colony was founded in 1628, followed by New Hampshire a year later. Smaller settlements sprung up in the area. Their inhabitants relied on local fisheries, taking or buying the land from the natives. Religion played a key role. In the 1630s, more than 20,000 Puritans arrived from England, seeking freedom to practice their beliefs. Tolerance was preached, but not always practiced. Well-known personalities like Roger Williams and entire groups like the Quakers and Baptists were forced to leave Massachusetts. In 1636, the Connecticut colony was founded as a settlement for Puritans. A conflict with the Dutch followed. Then the local Pequot tribe was wiped out as the settlers gained a firm foothold. Two other settlements, Saybrook and New Haven, were later established in the area, only to merge with Connecticut. In the same year, Roger Williams arrived from Massachusetts in the land of the Narragansett Indians, founding the Providence Plantations, followed by another group of dissenting Puritans who established more settlements, Portsmouth, Newport, and Warwick on Rhode Island. These colonies then formed an alliance known as the New England Confederation in 1643, mainly against the natives and their Dutch rivals who inhabited nearby New Netherland. Down south, Virginia was followed by Maryland in 1632, established by Lord Baltimore as a haven for Catholics in the New World during the European 30 Years' War. Religious toleration was the main idea, but strategic goals also played a role, as King James I wanted to surround the emerging New Netherland with his own colonies, especially as the Dutch claimed the Delaware River Valley. To lure more Catholic and Protestant settlers to the area, 50 acres of land was promised for each person they brought with them. The local natives greeted the English warmly. They traded with them and taught them how to plant corn and beans. Peace didn't last, though. A war with the Susquehannock people broke out in 1642, but the colony also had frequent border disputes with Virginia and later with other neighboring territories. Although the province of Carolina was originally chartered in 1629, not to mention that the lost colony on Roanoke Island had also been in this area back in the 1580s, the first settlements there were only established in the 1650s. Emigrants arrived from Virginia, New England, and Bermuda. They had to kickstart the province and stop repeated Spanish attempts at northward expansion from Florida. While England was busy with its Civil War, the colonies had their own problems. Virginia, now a crown colony, having lost its original company charter, fought a third war against the Powhatans, gaining more land and establishing a racial border with the natives. It remained loyal to Charles I, but Puritan Massachusetts sided with the parliamentarians, while diversifying its economy with the fur, lumber, and fish trade, which gave rise to a merchant middle class. In Maryland, where a Catholic elite ruled over a Protestant majority, parliamentary forces assumed control for a while, whereas in Carolina, the colony that bore the name of the king, the Spanish remained the primary threat. With the restoration of the monarchy in 1660, new charters had to be obtained, while Charles II attempted to extend royal influence over the colonies, restricting their trade to England alone, which the provinces resisted. At this point, there were 7 colonies in total: Massachusetts Bay, which included Maine, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Virginia, Maryland, and Carolina. They had some profitable exports, like tobacco and fur, but some had to rely on subsistence farming, while the uncertain borders often resulted in disputes. Their population was growing. By 1660, Virginia had 27,000 people, Massachusetts had 20,000, while Carolina had only 1,000 settlers. The Second Anglo-Dutch War brought a significant change in 1664. New Netherland was captured by the English, who pillaged its towns and sold some of its settlers into slavery. 3 new provinces were established, although Delaware was controlled by Maryland for now. Western New York remained disputed with the French and the Iroquois Confederacy, and New Jersey was briefly retaken by the Dutch in 1674, after which it was divided into 2, creating East Jersey and West Jersey. By the 1670s, New England had 65,000 people versus 10,000 remaining natives. The First Indian War erupted then, with serious losses on both sides, but the settlers eventually won, and they also gained a group identity, as for the first time, they had to fight without European assistance. In 1681, William Penn received a land grant from Charles II. He soon founded the province of Pennsylvania, whose charter remained within his family until the Revolution. Quakers, Germans, and Scots-Irish settlers arrived there, and while peace was first promoted, wars broke out with the Lenape people after Penn's death. Religious freedom was once again reserved for the settlers, although the real reason was the hunger for more land. New Jersey was reunited in 1702, but border wars with New York erupted in the following decades. In 1707, Great Britain was formed with the union of Scotland and England, while the War of the Spanish Succession and the Third Indian War were taking place. In the Treaty of Utrecht, the French ceded Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and the land around Hudson Bay, but these remained separate from the existing colonies. In the South, where the natives and the Spanish remained a threat, Carolina was split into 2 due to infighting. Both territories soon became royal colonies, ending private rule. The province of Georgia was then established in 1732 on a corporate charter. Strict laws were enacted, both slavery and alcohol were banned. The colony was to be a buffer state, defending southern British colonies from Spanish Florida. The settlers were not pleased with existing rule. The ban on slavery was lifted in the 1750s, when Georgia too became a crown colony. By that time, population of the British provinces grew immensely. It reached 1.5 million. Although most of these lived as farmers, only a few seaports provided a chance for a different life. Roughly 200,000 slaves arrived during this period. Maryland's population was 40% black at that time. Settlers also started moving inland, taking more territory from the natives, which the British government tried to limit for fear of losing control of the colonies. There's much more to talk about, but I will stop here at 1750. I will talk about subsequent developments in the next episode. Thank you for watching. See you next time.